Hi, it's Rob Thiesfield here. I wanted to take this time tonight to talk to you a little bit about a story of something that happened in my life and the key aspects of it. You see, it wasn't that long ago. I was with some mates. We went to go diving. We loaded the boat up with all sorts of things, and I managed to sink the boat. We got out of it alive. All of us are here. The boat didn't survive. My mate lost his motor. He lost the boat. We lost a lot of the stuff inside it. It was a disaster. I was driving the boat. We were going along. The seas were a little bit rough and the waves were high. I was pushing the boat a little bit too hard. A piece of wood, it was a plywood boat, piece of wood underneath the boat opened up, the water rushed in. By the time we actually realized there was water in the boat, that there was something wrong with the boat, the whole boat just sunk upon us. We were in the water, and fortunately we were nearish an island, and we were able to swim over to the island. And from there, we had to find a way to communicate and get somebody out to get us. We took most of the day waiting, and our diving trip was over. So out of that, I learned a lot of lessons, and the 5 key ones that I did learn, the first one was slow down. And slow down to go far. And I think that applies in everything. That's something I've applied in all of the things I've done, even now. But slowing down with those waves, with the resistance of the waves, with the condition of the boat, slowing down would have ensured that we got out to where we were going and things would have been great, assuming that the boat wasn't ready to sink anyway. And I would like to think that the boat was in better condition. As we were going out over the waves, I was pushing it and the boat slapped the wave a couple of times, and we believed that that was enough to pull the board off the bottom. So that's what happened, and my lesson is slowing down. So the way I've applied that is when something comes up, like I pivoted towards online marketing, I started to get all excited and jump into all sorts of things, and I remembered I need to slow down and you'll go far. And the whole point of this is that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Everything that we do online, it takes time. We're changing ourselves as we go. To build a business, you change, you develop, you become a new person, a different person. You're learning skills, you're learning different abilities. And so all of that is really important to help you get where you got to go. But you can't get there at breakneck speed. And maybe you'll sink the boat on the way if you try. That's lesson 1. Lesson 2 is to listen to advice. Now, it might seem strange, but both of my friends in the boat were yelling at me, "Why don't you slow down? Slow down." And I kept saying to them, "No, it's fine. It's fine. The boat's okay." And perhaps if it was an aluminium boat, it would have been okay, but it was not. And I didn't listen, and you know what happened. And so listening to advice is so important, even when we think that we know what we're doing. And I was sure I had everything under control. I was convinced, obviously, until the water rushed up and we were in the water having to swim for ourselves. So if I'd listened to their advice, then again, I would have slowed down, I would have taken time, and the whole trip would have been very different. And that's the key. The key is that not only should we just try and achieve these things, we can't do it on our own. We need advice, we need mentors, we need people that will get alongside of us and see what we're doing and suggest, hey, maybe what you're doing needs to go slower, maybe what you're doing needs to go this way or do that. And as you work with them and listen to them, then you'll find that you'll go a lot further. I know I would have. The next lesson I learned, which has really applied, is that I'll never assume. I assumed that the boat was good. I assumed that I would be able to keep control of the boat. I did not think about the rogue wave that came up and slapped the boat. I didn't think about those issues that caused the boat to sink. I wasn't even thinking about what happens if it sinks. And as a result, we were in a boat that wasn't solid. And yes, it might have held on and everything else, but you can't ever assume that what you've got is going to last. You can't assume. There's a network marketing company that just folded. I follow some of those people and they're devastated. Some of them had $20,000 in tax debt that they were going to get paid, but the company was going to pay. And there's all sorts of things that happen unexpectedly, and you don't know. You don't know if you're going to keep your job. You don't know if you're going to lose it. You don't know if there's going to be an issue with your car next year, tomorrow, next year, maybe next year as well, who knows. And so all of these things are issues that you don't know what's going to happen. And it's really important to be aware that because we don't know, we've got to be prepared. And so my next number 4 lesson is always be prepared for anything. In this case, in the boat, when we sank the boat, or when I sank the boat, none of us had life jackets on. None of us were prepared. All of the gear was in the boat. All of the gear just popped out of the boat. Fortunately, we had some life jackets that were floating near us, and that helped a lot because it wasn't a close distance. It was a long way to get to that island, but it was nearish. Like we could see it, we could know that we could get there. And so having preparations in place, knowing things like that, when we got to the island, we didn't have a way to communicate. There was nothing. We didn't have cell phones, and well, we did, but they weren't waterproof, so you didn't take them on water trips. And it would have been like I wouldn't have thought to put my cell phone in a plastic bag or anything like that. So it wouldn't have been any use anyway. And on that island, I'm not even sure if we had cell coverage. So in all of that, we had to reach out and we found somebody that had a communication device. I think it was a radio or something. They were able to radio through and seek help. And then we waited for the cavalry to arrive. And so being prepared means that we would have at least had things on hand so that if the boat did sink, then we had things ready to grab to help us, like some of the diving gear and things like that would have been very helpful. So that's something I have learned, and being prepared for anything means that every time I start a new adventure, event, do something, I'm always thinking of contingencies. What if this happens? What if that happens? And it's not living in fear, it's just trying to be practical within the limits of what is reasonable. And I think that's all that we can do. So the last one, the last lesson that I got from all of this is that friends are always friends. Like those guys, we hung out after that, laughed about the boat incident. They forgave me. Everything was back to being friends, and I don't think they fully forgave me. I never was allowed to drive another one of his boats. Makes sense. But being friends was being friends. And that's what it was. Like, the fact that he lost this boat and we lost all this gear and everything else that happened doesn't mean that the friendship was lost. And so there's a key in that, because online or offline, you get friends, and some friends are fair weather friends. And if everything goes well, then they're your friend, and other friends are stick it out friends. And I think it's really important that each one of us have friends like that, that we can say that they're going to be our friend regardless. If they crash our car, if something goes wrong, they burn our house down, we're still going to be friends. Like, yeah, it's a terrible thing and we'll have to live with the consequences and work through it, just like my friend did with his boat. But I think that's a key lesson that I learned, is to pick my friends, to know which friends are really the ones that are going to stick it out, and not to test them by taking them out on boats. In fact, these days I don't go out on boats very often at all. If I do, it's in safe water, and otherwise I'll get somebody else to take me out into deep water. But that's my story of sinking a mate's boat. They're the 5 key things: slowing down to go far, listen to advice, never assume that everything is okay or everything will continue to be okay. Always be prepared for anything, and to seek out the right friends. So I hope that's helped you in some way. It certainly has helped me. It's made a big difference for me going forward from then. And I just thought I'd share just some of the lessons I'd learned during that time. You have a great time, great night, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.